So, Gordon, very good to have you here with us today. We've come a long way.
Yeah.
And firstly, I want to thank you for taking the time out to be here with us today. My name is Andre, and I'm here with Gordon Holmes from Mondia Health. We specialize in mental health and wellness, as well as substance abuse treatment. And we have a very big passion for people that suffer with this harsh reality that we refer to as mental health. And today with us here, we have Gordon. I got to know him in the whole, before I give it over to you, Gordon, to tell us a little bit about you. We met through the process of recovery. And today it's a big privilege for me to say, to have him here with us today. So Gordon, maybe you can start by saying hello and telling us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Andre.
All right.
Hello, everyone, and to you. Thanks for inviting me. It's always a pleasure, I say, and an honor to be able to give back in some or other way a little bit. My name is Gordon Holmes. I am 43 years old from Tweespruit in the Free State. And I grew up in the Free State. Born and bred.
Engelse plaasboertjie.
Yeah, I suppose you could say that. I grew up on a farm. Went to school, primary school in Tweespruit, high school in Bloemfontein, and then studied after school. Finished my agriculture degree in Bloem at UFS, and then spent a couple of years overseas after studying, and then came back to the farm, started farming. Sometime during, I'd say probably 20 years ago, between 20 and 10 years ago, things just started spiraling out of control. And eventually I came to the point where I just had to, I had to stop living the way I was living, but I didn't really want to. So that then became a very long process of dealing with an addiction, and ultimately, gratefully, so far, overcoming it. But it became quite a messy patch in my life. Yeah.
Mm. Gordon, if I may, when you say dealing with addiction, specifically what type of addiction?
Well, the biggest issue in my life that really got things out of control was alcohol. But the alcohol was, it was just a follow on from cannabis and cigarettes, and I don't think I don't really discriminate between them.
Right.
They're all. If you gave me one, it would be an issue, I suppose. So yeah.
Right. When we refer to addiction, I guess it refers to anything that kind of controls your life, despite the negative impact that it has on the different spheres of your life.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter what type of substance it is, but in this case, we're talking a little bit more about alcohol. So I've gotten to know you pretty well over the years, and we've created a great friendship. Also, myself being in recovery. But Gordon, before you reached out for help and decided that I've had enough of ek wil amper sê gatvol van gatvol wees. But you get to a point in your life where you feel, I've had enough. I'm tired of being sick and tired. What was life like before that? Just before we dive into the whole process of when you reached out for help.
It happened quite strangely. It didn't happen the way you'd expect it to. I got help, and things started to change when I wasn't looking for it. But that said, before I did get help, how did things were a complete mess. I had no. If you looked at my life from a distance, you would find no credible points to it on any day, really, unless there were exceptions. It was just day-to-day drinking,
Right.
and just trying to appease as many people as needed to be appeased in order to keep drinking. And that's all it became. I mean, it was literally from morning until night, from the moment I woke up and until I either passed out or until the last thing I did before I went to bed. So, and that was a daily thing for a long time. I don't know how long the periods were, but there were very long stretches where there wasn't a day between drinking.
Yeah.
There was never a day off. So it was, my whole life was focused on and committed to just doing one thing, and that was drinking. Yeah.
Just for interest's sake, Gordon, coming from the background that you come from, I've had the privilege of meeting your family, a pretty decent, well-settled family, a strong family, strong family bonds amongst each other.
It's very nice of you to say that.
Great mom and dad, your brothers, and but from the average person, in their point of view, they would think this is, you got it all together. It's a normal life, if we can refer to it as that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a poster book picture
material.
I mean, it was, yeah, and but that's the thing about it, is it doesn't discriminate. It's
absolutely.
It's from the billionaires to the streets.
Absolutely. Truth be told.
Yeah.
So, Gordon, at what point did you realize that it's time to reach out for help? Or was it more a case that you didn't and everybody else around you wanted you to get help?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And I wouldn't say I was enjoying, can we put that word on it, the life I was living. But by that point, you're physiologically dependent on the substance. You're not, the thought of not drinking was far more terrifying at the time than being caught drinking. If I wasn't supposed to be. Yeah. So I wasn't really looking for help, but I did know I needed it. I wasn't in denial about the fact that my life was a mess. I just didn't want to change, and yeah, it's strange because it was right at the end of a long stint of going to rehabs and seeing people and trying to do and people trying to do something about it for me, that eventually I came to a point where it was just a very fortunate coincidence of a lot of things. I still don't know why, but fortunately, I came to a point where I was the one who grabbed me by the scruff of the neck and gave me a good shake, and that's when things turned. Yeah.
Great, awesome.
But without the help, so to speak.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't making complete use of it, if it wasn't there, I none of this would have happened. Yeah.
So, I mean, you tried. You went to rehabilitation a few times. The desire was there to change the lifestyle and to stop drinking, but I think you're right. The desire was there, but the self accountability, right, the looking at yourself and because you become used to, everyone trying to do things for you, and as long as you're doing enough, or it looks like you're doing enough, then they kind of leave you alone. The show continues, and so that's where I also think it's almost unfair, the expectation that's placed on rehabs or any sort of support that they are supposed to
fix this? Yeah, there's only one place it can come from. Yeah, so
Yeah. No, I can agree with you there. I think many times everyone else around you wants you to get help, and whether it be your employer or family member, loved one as such, but the individual themselves are not ready to make the decision and take the step.
yeah,
So once you started making that step, going the direction of wanting to be sober and live a life of sobriety, if I may ask, what was some of the triggers that you faced when one deals with withdrawals or even relapsing as such? Because I know we dealt with that a few times.
yeah. It's interesting. I've read so much material on recovery and what happens and what should happen and what won't and will and whatever. And one very interesting phenomenon was what they call PAWS, pause, which is post-acute withdrawal symptoms. And that's where, like, I just woke up one morning after 9 months of not drinking, and it felt like I'd had the biggest bender of my life the night before. Literally, it was one of the worst hangovers I've ever experienced, and I didn't know what was happening. And fortunately, someone knew about this and told me, and I read about it, and that's very real. If someone says they feel like they lost 9 months after they stopped drinking, it's very possible.
Wow.
I don't know the physiology exactly of it, but definitely that's very real. Withdrawal symptoms only straight after I stopped, and that was bad.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't.
The first day or 2 or 3.
No, 7.
Okay, first week.
Yeah, the first week
Yeah,
I couldn't
harsh.
get out of bed. I
Yeah.
couldn't stand on my legs.
Yeah.
My body was just such a wreck. So yeah, that's very real. The withdrawal was just after I stopped. But triggers I have an issue with. I'm not sure they are triggers. I don't think triggers are a real thing. I think triggers are, in many cases, and I speak under correction always, but I think in many cases they're a very convenient excuse.
Right.
Because it doesn't. If I see an advert for a whiskey, that's not enough to make me go and throw everything away, is it? Really? And I felt that way the day after I stopped. Not now, because I've got 5 years behind me. It's something that I didn't really. I wasn't affected by triggers as such when I was drinking, and trying not to before I quit officially. So obviously, maybe the people are affected far more by things they see or smell or hear, but I'm not so sure about triggers. I just
Right.
Well, I fortunately I lost interest in drinking
Good.
after
Good.
after I changed my mind. So
Good.
yeah, it's a very deep rabbit hole you could go down.
Yeah. I'm very curious to know, and I wasn't planning on talking about this, but I feel that I can ask you this. Alcohol being such a socially accepted substance and okay, if you know what I mean, in today's life.
Not okay, expected.
Expected. It's part of society, and it's okay, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And the youngsters, the youth, they see everyone drinking around them when it's birthdays, when it's Christmas, when it's whatever celebrations there is. People drink.
Yeah.
For interest's sake, Gordon, what were you drinking more or less, and how much? If we can dive into that just for a second.
It kind of varied. Obviously, when I was young,
Yeah.
still the beers and ciders and the partying, drinks, the social stuff. But
Yeah.
when I became a complete like recluse, really, just burying myself, it was almost always vodka.
Right. Okay.
Quantities, it depended, but normally, like if I was on a binge, 'n klam lap word vinnig nat. So then it wasn't much. But because then you're just kind of keeping yourself in this zone,
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm a small guy and it affects me. So it was never huge amounts
Right.
in terms of what you're putting in your body, but huge amounts in terms of what it's doing to your thinking.
Yeah, psychologically,
head,
more than the
yeah,
physical effect, of course, yeah. And then, we're not here to tell people that, hey, you're not allowed to have a glass of red wine with your wife at a steak dinner. But like we said in the beginning, when something impacts your life or the spheres of your life negatively due to a substance like alcohol, then, of course, one needs to realize that we might need some help in some other way.
Then you got to do something about it.
Yeah. Gordon, tell us a little bit about what's been the most surprising reward. What's been the most surprising reward part of your journey since getting sober? I think it's been about 5 years. I think you just mentioned it.
Yeah. It was 14th of January. This year was 5 years.
I can't believe it.
I don't know where they've gone. It's ridiculous, but apparently they've gone.
I've known you for almost 9 years. Since 2017.
Was I full of trouble for that long before?
Yeah, no, we had a little bit of challenges, but it's been worth it.
Yeah,
absolutely. The journey's been so worth it.
Yeah, you can't, you cannot, it's like asking someone, what have you, what's been rewarding from that person pulling out the burning car? It's, I'm alive.
Yeah, come on. Say it again.
So that's, I'm alive. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And that puts everything else into perspective.
Yeah.
So, but what's been very surprising is that, I mean, the fact that I stopped drinking was because I was in Mondia. And I'd done a 3-week program there. This is just to give you a bit of a backstory. But I was not, 3 weeks at the time, it was it was a blink of an eye for what I needed. And I was kind of running out of options. And I very fortunately got the opportunity to stay at Mondia on their premises after I'd finished the program. And I was working and... anyways, it was at the time that COVID, fortunately and unfortunately, hit us, and the nature of Mondia's work, they had very strict check-in and check-outs in terms of symptoms and things for COVID, and questionnaires and things every day. And one day I ticked something on a questionnaire that got the management a bit concerned.
I remember.
And I didn't think much of it. I felt fine. But, because of the fact that it's a hospital, they said, to be safe, lockdown. So I thought, okay, fine. So I had 2 weeks of no contact, no human contact in the apartment I was staying in. And by day 3, I think I'd read every book that was left in my place, and by day 4, I'd exhausted YouTube. So I had a couple of days left with myself for the first time in 20 years, probably.
Sure.
If you don't have to look at your faults, you don't. You just don't. It's we don't put ourselves through that voluntarily if we don't have to. And I was sitting in the apartment, and I looked around, and I just asked myself, what am I doing here? And that was the moment where basically if you walk into a room and you catch someone doing something they shouldn't be doing, and you grab them by the scruff of the neck and you give them a good sorting out, that's what I did to myself. And that was a process of probably 48 hours, I think, non-stop, of just going through the past 20 years of everything, and my conscience actually starting to realize what was actually going on, and when that hits you, it hits you hard, and that was what got my mindset into a completely different frame. And I didn't know what had happened. I just thought I'd had some situation where I felt very bad about what had happened. And then just after that, I read something about enlightenment. And it said enlightenment is not seeking more and more light. It is confronting the darkest parts of yourself. And that's what had happened.
In that 2-week period.
Yeah, but it was more 2 days of actually, the real fight.
Yeah.
And then after
I remember that
it was,
period
it
of
was
time
the most
very
difficult,
well.
like the most painful thing I've ever experienced. But I've also never experienced anything like the way I felt after that. And that was where my interest was just gone. It was just like, it put me into a completely new space. And obviously, I'm not naive. It's not to say that that's like a cure-all and forever you're now safe.
Of course.
But luckily, it's made the journey a lot easier, not having to try and constantly avoid alcohol or situations where there'll be alcohol, or, having an issue if I smell a beer or whatever it is. So I'm very, very, very grateful and fortunate, and that happened. And I truly believe that if you want to overcome addiction, you have to have some sort of a spiritual experience, encounter, turning. It's got to happen inside you on a very deep level.
Yeah.
It's not here where you thinking about the traffic lights and speaking to people. It's what you at your core actually believe about how things should be. Yeah.
Bury the old and out with the new.
Yeah, or out with the old and out with the new.
On with the old and in with the new. Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Gordon, maybe tell us a little bit about in this 5 years of being sober, and I've been close with you ever since I've been able and had the privilege to witness it. How has your relationship with yourself become, and also with your loved ones closest to you? Because I know in the active addiction stage, we turn to avoid ourselves better than anyone knows us, so we can really run away from ourselves.
Yeah.
But how has that affected you and where you are now, and also your family?
It's had a huge impact on both. With myself, it's very difficult getting up every morning for years, being dissatisfied with who you are. That's a heavy, that's a heavy one to stand up with.
Carry, yes.
And it's just that being able to, it's just the absence of hating yourself is so nice. That's one of the biggest things, is that you're not constantly knocking yourself down whilst doing the things that you're knocking yourself down for doing. That's how ridiculous addiction is. So I'd say that's the biggest one. It's just like, and that affects that has a knock-on effect on your self-esteem and on your outgoing willingness and everything. You just feel better. So that's probably the most significant one for myself and my family and friends. It's that's the other thing that was so exhausting, is just all the time feeling like you're in trouble. Because even if you're not, you're going to be. And you know you are. So that's also very tiring. So from that side with my family and my friends, it's just the fact that there's not that tension all the time anymore, you know. And I've actually got a relationship with them now, where when I'm speaking to them, they know it's me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A very real,
Yeah.
more like almost become mates with my parents now, you know. And they were always the real parental figures. So it's too much to put into words, you know, what it actually means and how much it's changed, but everything is better. It's just
amazing.
Better. Yeah.
Awesome.
As trying as family and friends can still be. But it's the other thing is just being invited to things, you know, that people stopped inviting you to.
Yeah.
Because either you wouldn't show up or it would be a dog show.
Yeah.
So it's just to be included. It you know, and it's very humbling that, you know, people still think about you.
Yeah.
Well, because I pushed my family and friends like as far as possible away from me as I could. And luckily, like, they were just too stubborn, just too moedswillig to let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
never gave up.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's I can never be grateful enough for the fact that they just wouldn't. They just would not, you know. So, very
like
blessed.
I said, no one knows us better than we know ourselves. But to actually be okay with yourself now, and be able to be comfortable with yourself, who you are and where you are, I think that's really a big achievement coming from a background like that. But also with your folks or your family, your loved ones as such, you know, the first period of that sobriety in these last 5 years, I'm sure there was a season where it was like, is this really Gordon, or is it just him putting up a show again, before they actually really started believing, okay, we have our son back.
Yeah, for sure, sure. And that was also very interesting. It's actually, I must remind them of that. Actually, it's getting a bit boring now.
Yeah.
You know, they're acting
become
too
used
cool,
to
too
the
much.
norm again.
No, it was I was actually amazed that, but I suppose I shouldn't be, because from the outside, I suppose you can see it from a mile away as well. But yeah, I mean, so many times that I just would say one thing and do another, or a bunch of others. And yeah, that first, actually, when I was still staying at Mondia, anyway, I'd been there for a couple of months, and the place I was staying in, they needed it, and it was time for a bit of a change and progress and whatever. So I had to move out and find a flat. And when I phoned my folks and told them, I said, no, they need the place. I think they're renovating or whatever, but I need to find a flat. And my dad was like, no ways, bro.
Here we go again.
Not a chance. I need the management's number, because I think you're speaking absolute rubbish. And I was like, what do you mean? Because from my side, because I had nothing, like, I wasn't trying to hide anything. So
I'm doing everything right.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And they were like, my folks were like, no, there's something's happened, and they're kicking you out. And I thought, okay,
what did you do?
Like, this is your time to shut your mouth, Gordon, because they have every right to
absolutely
to think that, and luckily it wasn't. But it was quite a while before things were really,
of course,
you know, better, but still not. It'll never be completely, you know. If I disappeared for some or other reason, you know, that's the first thing people will think. And,
oh boy, here we go.
And fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But there was a short period where it was like, we'll see.
Rightfully so.
We'll see. Yeah.
Interesting. Gordon, what advice would you give somebody that might be listening to this podcast and finding themselves in a place where they're giving themselves over to some sort of addiction? Maybe someone found themselves in marriage, or a parent having the privilege of being a mom or dad, but drinking or using any kind of substance and kind of just, busy throwing their own life away. What advice would you give someone if you had an opportunity to reach out to somebody today? What would you say?
Well, I'll start by saying this. Statistically, if you are reaching out for help and getting help, but it doesn't seem to be working, if you go to a rehab and you have to go back, statistically, the statisticians will tell you that every time that you go back, the chances of you recovering diminish. Because if you do the sum, the mathematical sum, that's true. It does work like that. But it doesn't work like that with addiction. So every time that you go for help or see someone or do anything positive related to overcoming it, you do chip something away. You are positively affecting it. And if you do enough for long enough, but you never know how long you've got, you will overcome it. So my advice to anyone is it's possible to overcome it, but you don't know how much time you have left. So act now.
Good, thank you. I think it brings us back to how we said earlier, it starts with you,
Yeah, and people are stupid. We don't allow ourselves to learn from others' mistakes. We have to go and, I know he said it shocks, but I just want to make sure. And that's where, I've been very fortunate. I know loads of people whose situation in terms of their dependency on something wasn't as bad as mine, who are gone now. They did. Because they didn't have as much time as I did, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Well, we don't decide that. For every theory on addiction out there, I shouldn't be here anymore. I should either still be actively using or dead. That's the reality of it, and I'm not blind to that, and I don't downplay it. So it is up to you, but we can't really wait. We can't wait.
Yeah. Thank you, Gordon. I think a lot of people might be struggling with this harsh reality of addiction or alcoholism as such. But there's also a stigma that goes with it, and a sense of shame that people try to hide away from it or won't admit it as such. But in closing, please go ahead. Yeah.
The more you think about it, the more ridiculous it begins to sound. That there's a negative connotation attached to someone who becomes dependent on something which his society encourages him to begin using.
Yeah.
And continue using. until the point where he develops a problem with it, and then suddenly he's the problem, or she.
Yes.
But, it was a big deal for his first beer when he was 16 or whatever it was. It's encouraged. If you go out and you don't drink, people ask, what's wrong with you? What's the matter? But should you have a problem with it, if you do it too much, then they shun you. Not shun, but there's a problem with it. So it's quite ridiculous, but it is the reality. It's unfortunate. But it always just, the more I think about it, the more ridiculous it seems. That it's something that is encouraged for young people to do.
Absolutely.
By society. So why are we surprised when people develop issues with it in a society which is so bent on putting pressure on you to perform that you have no option but to do that after work? That's what 90% of people do.
And the students, even.
Oh.
The youngsters, the youth,
students haven't
the
got
future.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So, we could sit here for a year.
We can break this down for quite a while.
But it's just crazy that we have such a problem with something which we actually encourage.
Yeah. Socially accepted. Yeah, it's the norm. Gordon, in terms of support systems or in terms of treatment as such, therapy, support groups, support systems, family supporting you, in closing, how did, or let me refer to it as therapy. Does it work? Did it work for you? Treatment, rehab, etc. If you can break that down a little bit and maybe leave us with an encouraging message to somebody out there.
There's research that shows that there are very low number of individuals who respond negatively to therapy. Like, the minute you introduce a therapist to whatever their program is, they go backwards. But on the whole, therapy didn't fix the problem. But the problem would never have been fixed without therapy.
Ooh.
Because through all of the things that I did hear and learn and apply, it was that gave me the tools to enhance what was happening to me when I broke down in the lockdown, and to have the ability to picture what the process had to be, and I learned that in the therapy. I learned that from therapists in rehabs, and it doesn't matter who you are or what your plan is for your addiction. Everyone who's actively using something comes to a point where, as one psychologist very aptly put it, you have to stop the bleeding. You've got to get this person out of their life, wherever they are. They're self-destructing, and there has to be a place for those people to go. If it's for a week or a year, there has to be a rehab or a something. So yeah, it's up to you, but because it's such a badly spoken about subject in general in society, everyone avoids the topic. So no one knows anything about it. So you need professionals who do know about it and people who've gone through it, who know what's happening, the process, to assist you. But the work comes from you.
Absolutely. And just quickly, I know we said we're going to end off the aftercare, after getting sober, after the treatment, after the therapy, the support systems afterwards from folks, and even an aftercare program or something. Would you advise it? Does it work?
It depends where you are in terms of your recovery, because I know of people who, I mean, Bloem's not like that, but in Joburg, you can attend 3 AA or NA meetings a day, or probably more if you wanted to. And I know people who do that, because that keeps them busy enough to not drink.
Yeah.
And I think that's a time bomb.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's sustainable. But if it's working at the time, I'm all for it. That's fine.
Yeah.
Definitely support systems. You need at least one other person in the world who doesn't think you're a complete dick
In your corner.
when you think you are. Whatever it is. I think my strongest support system at the moment is one Labrador. But
What's his name again?
Remington.
Remington. That's right.
But my family, obviously, without them and their stubborn lack of willingness to give up, that's what saved me. Ultimately, if you really,
I hope your mom sees this.
No, she'll see it.
She will.
So, you need, absolutely. You need either mates or relatives, but you've got to, like, if you don't love yourself, you must at least not hate yourself first,
of course.
And
then prove yourself.
The rest is just a supplement. Yeah.
I think once you prove yourself to your loved ones, the support is so necessary because it helps you believe in yourself.
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah.
Gordon, firstly, thank you very much. We really do appreciate you. What a testimony, what a powerful story he's been able to share with us here today. And you've really come a long way. Keep up the great work. And
thanks.
I hope that we were able to reach somebody here today. Thank you, Gordon.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me. Always to you and Maritza and Marisa and everyone at Mondia. I'm always every day grateful.
Awesome.
And my mom knows.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Mondia Health, we based here in Bloemfontein. You can contact us if need be. If you have a loved one or know of somebody that might be in need of some help, you can contact us on 076 509 4011. Thank you.